I'm Betty Tramacchi. I was born and bred in the valley at Amamore, and I was living there for quite a few years before I moved to Gympie in 1978. So most of my life was in the valley, which I loved. Well, both my parents came from Ireland, and they came 2 years apart. They knew each other in Ireland, and my dad worked in Brisbane for a while on a milk cart delivering milk. My mum was a school teacher and she taught at several schools, and when they eventually married in 1923, they moved to the valley, Morehouse Gully. It was all standing scrub, and they had to start from scratch. Bullock teams to snig the trees away, cut the trees down, take it down to the mill at Amamore. There was a sawmill down there, and cut the timber, did all that stuff. And my uncle and my dad built the house. It is still there, and it is still in good hands. It was the best place in the world to grow up. I loved it. I loved the countryside, always have. I used to, about 3 miles from the school when it was up on the side of the hill. And I walked to school most days, barefoot I might say, on a gravel road. And there was a school teacher who taught at the forestry school, Mr Hall was his name. And I'd try and work it out to be down at the corner, which was about a cave from my house. And I was lucky, he'd be driving along that road and he'd pick me up and drop me off at Amamore, but it didn't happen very often. Later on I had a pony and I rode the pony to school, which was great. I loved horses. And this fellow got me a Brumby pony from down the Wallam somewhere, and trained it a bit, and there I had a horse and I was happy. Starlight. The only bad part about it was some naughty children left the gate open now and again, and the pony went home and I had to walk. Yeah, I really enjoyed school. I loved it, except that one of the girls always beat me and she came top. I think I beat her once when she was away sick one day for an exam. But I was always up near the top of the class, and I really did love school. I loved going to school, yeah. Had some good friends. Still got them, some of the girls. This is one over here, and that's another one, but there are a few older ones too. They're still around. It was farming, yes, up Morehouse Gully, and a lot of gullies going off the main road. And it was a big job for them. My uncle, he was very good with woodwork. I don't know where he learned it, but they built the house themselves, and it's on the side of a hill too, and they just started, started growing bananas for a start, and pineapples, main thing, and had a little dairy herd as well, ducks and chooks and all that sort of thing, and a dog and a cat, all had all those things. It wasn't unusual. The back part of our house was ground level, and it sort of was built on the side of a hill, and it wasn't unusual for a carpet snake to come in and sleep behind the stove of a night time. I can remember that happened a few times, and we just left the doors open. We just didn't worry about anything back then. We'd take them away and drop them down the bush somewhere. Had a little herd of cattle, and used to turn the old separator by hand and keep a couple of jugs of basins of milk, cream rather, for a couple of days. No refrigeration. Put it in a little 2-gallon can, take it down to the railway and send it to the butter factory. Yes. We grew a lot of beans, and they were in boxes back then. And we'd take them down to the railway station in the horse and cart and send them away in Melbourne mostly, Sydney and Melbourne. Cucumbers and small crops, a few pineapples and pawpaws and mostly tropical fruits. Very rich soil out in the valley. It's a wonderful place. Sometimes I wish I was still living out there. Caught the rail motor to rural school one day a week. When I was going to high school, I caught the rail motor on a Monday morning, and I had my bike up at Frank Saw's, which is along Tozer Street. I used to leave it there every weekend, but I haven't worked out how I used to get home on a Friday afternoon yet. I just can't quite remember how I got there. Maybe someone came and picked me up because there were no buses. And I remember going across the Mary River when she was in a big, big flood boat, and at domestic science, we'd made this baked custard at school, and it wasn't a very smooth journey across. Things lurched and spilled all down here, and I thought, oh my gosh, looks like I've been sick. I'll never forget that. But I can't remember who came and picked me up that day to take me home. Oh, that was so embarrassing. But anyway, I think Dad was probably in there with the horse and cart to take me home. That's probably how I got home. Maybe I really can't remember. Although later in my older school years, at grade 6 and 7, I boarded with. I did board at Winston House for a while, with a lot of friends. One of whom just passed away about 6-8 weeks ago. I've been great friends with her all these years, and it was good. I was one of the first students there. I think the year it was opened, I can't remember when that was now. It would have been probably 1946, 46. Yeah, I think it was, it might have been 45, one or the other. I stayed there for the first semester, but I didn't like it for some reason or another. Probably the boys were a bit of a nuisance. So then I boarded privately with some friends of ours at the south side. I rode my bike in from there. Well, I went to grade 8, it was then. We did grade up to grade 7 at primary. I went to school that first year. I was planning to go for 3 years. Well, it might have been only 2 then. But my mum passed away in the May of that year. And school, nothing was ever the same. So I told Dad at the end of the year, Dad, I'm quitting school. I'm going to stay home, work on the farm, and that's what I did. After Mum passed away, we had just a couple of men working for us, like Dad had to have help on the farm, and some of them were nice and some of them were horrible. But I can remember one day, vividly remember, because I used to do their washing, and I was only 14, and I'd do the washing, and the old boiler, the kerosene tins on the little rack, and I had 15 pairs of work trousers hanging on the line one day. I just can see that vividly. But I used to do their washing and cook meals for them at age 14. And, it was pretty tough going. But anyway, we got there. I'm here to tell the tale, so that's a plus. Oh, well, I love the countryside. There's been a lot of changes, obviously, since we moved to town in 1974. It's probably a lot of changes since then that I'm not even aware of. But what I loved about the most was the country atmosphere and the friends I made at school, and I've still got, quite a few of them, or quite a number, not a lot maybe, but lifelong friendships, that I have. I can remember these pair here well at school. All the mischief they used to get up to. I didn't tell you about that, but I won't either. I love sport at school. I love playing tennis. I still love tennis, and I still love watching tennis. We used to play rounders, and we had a tennis court that was really good. No, I just like some of the memories are more about the horses and the other girls that had a horse. And I can remember I did get a bicycle. My uncle bought me a bicycle, and I thought that was pretty good when I was in grade 6, I think it was. And I remember going down the school hill. I was going down Ammermoor because I used to go up. The school was halfway down the hill, and I used to go up the hill to go home. And anyway, I was going down to the Ammermoor to the shop, and my brakes failed. Something happened. I went skidding across the road and landed against a big tree trunk. And boy, lucky I didn't get really badly hurt. I can still remember that. I don't know what happened. I don't know. The brakes didn't work or whatever. I can remember riding my pony to school. I remember the swaggies that were under the Ammermoor Bridge. Sometimes I'd ride my pony down to Ammermoor this afternoon, buy a pennyworth of lollies or something, go home, and there were swaggies under the bridge. And I can remember the voice of authority. I used to say to the kids, because the little kids, they'd entice them with lollies and stuff. And I said, don't ever go down there to those men down there. They might be all right, but they might not. But I can still see them in my mind, these wagons. They're probably quite harmless, but, the kids were warned not to go to strangers like that because, it could be dangerous. But no, I really love my school days. I've still got all my exercise books and mathematics books and mapping books and reading books and all that stuff. Still got it. Should burn it all, I suppose.
Oh, no.
What are we going to do with it? Well, in 1964 we built a new home, a big home, because our family was fastly growing. We had 7 children. And the old house, and not only that, I was looking after my dad, who was invalided, and we just didn't have enough room. So we built a new home, 4 bedrooms. And we built it sort of maybe at the base of the hills, and the floods. I forget what year that was. Jeff, you might remember the big floods. Anyway, the house moved. The house was a big home, and you could put a marble on the floor and it would roll down. And the windows wouldn't shut and the doors wouldn't shut. So our home, we had to have it cut in. It was chamfer board. Had to have it cut in half. 2 halves were brought on a big truck to Gympie. We bought a 5-acre block on Fisher Road, where we still are, and we erected that house there, high, and had concrete underneath. We've since sold that and built a new house next door. My husband's good on years. I can't remember what year it was now, but it's where we live now. Catching the rattler at school and getting into trouble a couple of times. So I was playing up on the rattler.
Oh, no. What would happen if you got caught?
Oh, nothing much really. I met him at a dance, actually. It was a friend of mine, Faye Herbert at the time, and we used to go to the dances together at Kandanga, Amamore, and met these 2 guys one night, and I thought, they're pretty good-looking fellas, so the feeling was mutual, I think, and actually we followed them. Well, they followed us home from... They lived on a side road, Diamondfield Road at the time, and they followed us home one night. Well, they might have gone first and we pulled up behind them, something like that. I can't quite remember. Sort of had a bit of a chat, and I fell in love with one of them, and my friend was a bit keen on the other, but he wasn't so keen on her.
Oh, no.
Anyway, so we ended up getting married then in 1953. No, I loved the farm life. I loved the country life. That's why we bought a 5-acre block out there, and just wouldn't like to live in town. No. Yeah, I've been back to see the old farms many times, and we've taken people, our relatives from Canada and overseas, like we've taken them up to show them where we live. But the last time we went, I said, I don't think I want to come back again, because when I look back at the beautiful valley and the production, the pineapples, pawpaws, fruit trees, beans, and the crops that were up in that valley, the soil is as deep as this. And I think it's just heartbreaking to see the devastation up there. There's just absolutely gone back to rubbish, not even scrub. Yeah. And it just saddens me, because it's such beautiful, deep soil. And I've got some lovely photos of the farm and the bean farm and that. And
I'd love to see that.
Okay, we'll work that out one day. Yeah, yep, got a lot.
Beautiful.
And you just wouldn't believe it now when you go out there. It's just rack and ruin, basically. And there are dairy farms up there too.
Yes, exactly. Dairy.
Big dairies.
There's only a couple left
Small
on the
dairies
road.
like ours. We hand milked. The cows.
Yeah.
But they were good. They were great days. They were just wonderful. But I did love school. I really loved going to school. It was, a lot of kids hate it, but I loved it. I think it was just where I lived, and well, there weren't so many kids. What do we have, about 30 at the school, roundabout, roughly, small school.
Small school.
Well, I did get into trouble once for putting the clock on, I remember. The school clock was up on the wall, and the teacher had gone down to the loo, down the, outside and down the men's loo, and I said, I'll get out early today, kids, we'll put the clock on a bit. So I climbed up and put the clock on. I can't remember exactly what happened after. I didn't get into much trouble, but But he did notice that the clock had been put on. I suppose I said, oh, it was me. I can't remember. But anyway, I thought I'd be smart. The worst part of school was the stinking slate rags,
Why?
wasn't it?
Yeah.
The slate rags, they smell, you know, they got
Oh.
sort of smelly through the week. That was horrible. Yeah, you'd have a bit of a rag to wipe your slate and then a bit of dry rag to wet to wipe the, you know, the pencil mark, slate pencils. And
That's
that'll
smelly.
sort of, yeah, you just, yeah. And you know, years ago, I'd hated getting up in front of people. I hated it. I remember doing a lecturette one day. I was supposed to do this lecturette. It was all about my pony. I got up in front of the class and I said, my pony is a very short, I'm just trying to think of the word. My pony is a very sure-footed pony. I couldn't think of another thing to say. Talk about embarrassment. Like I just couldn't, my mind just totally went blank. Does now too. Not really, but no. Look, I loved school days, and the friends I've made, there they are, still there. Quite a few of them. Still keep in touch with them. See them from time to time. But sad thing is, there's not many of us left from school in Ammanwell back in those days. All the younger ones are gone. But anyway, that's life.